What's going on, Sechi Unit? It's the Central Man here, so back again with another WCW pay-per-view review. So this time, going to review WCW Sold Out 1998 at the Horrors Arena in Dayton, Ohio on the 24th of January 1998. The attendance for the show was 5,486, and the buy rate for the show was 380,000 pay-per-view buys, an upgrade than the 1997 show I reviewed last time. That show received 170,000 pay-per-view buys. That was the drizzling shit of a pay-per-view, bad matches instead of, for me, the ladder match between Eddie versus Six for the United States title and Outsiders versus the Steiners. Besides that, yeah, shit matches, bad production choices, and that one takes the cake, the Miss and WO pageant. Anyway, so this is the first pay-per-view after Starrcade. You don't get the true aftermath from Starrcade 1997 in the main event because, the main event was Hogan versus Sting for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. You had a bad finish. You basically had Nick Patrick, the referee. It was supposed to be like a fast free count. Instead, it was a normal free count. That was the controversial ending. And yeah, Sting won the match on the show, and also they took the title away from Sting after Starrcade. It set up this segment on the show. Really talked about the future of the World Heavyweight title. So basically, you had three authority figures at this time. You had Eric Bischoff. He's the leader of the NWO. At the same time, he's still running WCW. You got J.J. Dillon. He is the authority figure of WCW, and same as Roddy Piper. It's too many. I don't mind two, but three? Give me a break. Anyway, so they're addressing the world title picture. You had Hogan and Sting, the former world champions, they wrestled at Starrcade 97 in the main event. And then you got Scott Hall, because he won the World War III Battle Royal at World War III. He gets a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship. So, I don't think he got a world title shot. It's a shame, it's really a shame how Scott Hall never won the world title. He's world title material, because he's past the mid card. Going back to days as Razor Ramon in the World Wrestling Federation. He fought Brett for the world title at was it Royal Rumble '93, but he never become world champion. Anyway, that's another story for another time. So that's the reason why he's there. So Piper kind of teased he's giving the title back to Hogan. This was on this segment on the show. He said psyched, and this is set up the rematch from Starrcade '97 between Hogan and Sting. And Sting will win really win the rematch. I'll review Starrcade. Not Starrcade. Sorry, I'll review Super Bowl '98. That'll be for another time. So anyway, so the commentators for the show are Tony Schiavone, Bobby Heenan, Dusty Rhodes, and Mike Tenay. Tenay only shows up whether it's the cruiserweight match. You've got the cruiserweight title match later on in the show, and the opener. The opener, we got an 8-man tag team match for the Luchadors / cruiserweights. We got Juventud Guerrera, Chavo Guerrero, Liz Mott Jr., and Super Carlo taking on La Parka, Psychosis, El Dandy, and Silver King. A good opener is similar to the match at Bash of the Beach. They did the same Lucha Libre tag team match on that show. I think that match at Bash of the Beach was way better than this match on this show. Anyway, like I say, it was a good match. Yeah, it had some cruiserweight style Lucha Libre moves in this match. Everyone does the high flying spots. In the end, Chavo hit, I think it was Psychosis with a Tornado DDT to win this match for his team. And this is Chavo Guerrero's first pay-per-view match in WCW. Because I think he was 2 years in the business. Later in 1998, he ended up teaming and feuding with his nephew Eddie. I mentioned it in my reviews of Spring Stampede '98 and Great American Bash 1998. Talk about when I talk about Eddie is treating Chavo like shit. They had a match. I think he had truly a one-on-one match at Bash the Beat later on that year. Anyway, after this match, you had La Parka hitting Chavo, Hoovy, Super Carlo, and Lismark with chairs. That's his gimmick, La Parka. He's always entering the ring with a chair. So moving on to the next match. The next match, we got Raven versus Chris Benoit in a Raven's Rules match. I'm guessing this is a rematch from Starrcade 1997. Raven got the victory in the match with Benoit at Starrcade. I think it was the help by Raven's Flock, and Dave Pencer, the referee, got informed that Raven's Flock, rest of Raven's Flock are banned from ringside. And Raven cut like a promo says to Benoit says, "I don't fear your pain. I feast it." Quote the Raven, nevermore. The match was good. People giving it like 4 stars. Why are you giving it 4 stars? I don't really call it the must-see match. It was a good match. It was physical, but not like fantastic. It was a good Ravens Rules match, not the best one. There've been better Raven Rules matches in the past, but this is not the best one. It was physical. I think they were there was a chair in this match. I think one of them did like a toe hold move onto the chair, or any type of move on the chair. Benoit, hit Raven with a suplex onto the ramp, the entrance ramp near the entrance. He did like a slide-in baseball drop kick onto Raven into the barricade, followed with an Irish whip into the steel steps. Yeah, they're really beating the piss out of each other. In the end, Raven hit like the even flow that is Raven's finisher. And then he was about to pin Benoit, but Benoit really locked Raven with the crossface, not the cripple crossface. That'll be later on in his run in WWE, but he locked him in the crossface. And instead of Raven tapping out, the Raven passed out leading Benoit to get the victory. And I don't want to see Raven tapping out. That make him so weak. And afterwards, you got Dean Malenko, his fellow Horseman teammate, coming down to the ring, and then they got jumped by the Flock, and then you got Van Hammer picking up Raven and really carrying him out of the ring, out of ringside. You never see him for the rest of this match, or rest of the show actually. And then you got Benoit and Malenko beating down the rest of Raven's Flock, and that was it. I don't know, they were feuding at the time, the Horsemen and the Flock. The Flock, man. For me, in my opinion, they got to be one of the most underrated factions in underrated, not overrated, but the most underrated factions in pro wrestling history. They don't really get any knowledge, and they don't really talk about the Flock. I think the Flock is good. You have some good workers. There's different version of the Flock in pro wrestling. You got Raven's Nest in ECW, the Flock in WCW, and then in later years in TNA, they call it the Deadpool, but that was the forgettable version of the Flock. I'm talking about this version of the Flock. You got Raven, you got Scotty Riggs, you got Billy Kidman, I forgot, Perry Saturn. Van Hammer was terrible. He's not really good as a worker. He'd be, part of Misfits in Action in WCW in 2000. As Sergeant AWOL, and Reese was there for his size. The two factions I compare the Flock is, the OVE, that's Sami Callihan's faction in Impact Wrestling, the formerly known as TNA, Sami Callihan, the Chris brothers, Madman Fulton, and then you got the White family. Some people compare the Flock to the White family, you got Bray Wyatt is in the Ravens role. You got like Harper and Rowan. They haven't got like high flyers like Kidman, but they're more like Luke Harper's talented. Braun Strowman as basically in the Reese role. Anyway. So the group was later on really disbanded later on in the year. During Raven's feud with Perry Saturn, because in Great American Bash I mentioned. They kicked Saturn out of the group. Anyway, let's move on to the next match. Match number 3, we got Rey Mysterio defending the WCW Cruiserweight Championship against Chris Jericho. So, I watched a little bit of Nitros and Thunder building up their match on this show. In late 97, going to the first few weeks of 1998, Jericho was leaning heel. He was kind of like being this, portraying like this whiny bitch, because every time he lose a match, he really pull on this wobbler. We call it a wobbler. It's a British term for temper tantrum. He was put on this temper tantrum, kicking the still steps. I think one moment on a Nitro, he kind of like push over the ring announcer Dave Pencer and he's basically taking objects, And then, in a few weeks, he ended up attacking Rey Mysterio and Juventud Guerrera, locking him in the Lion Tamer. Anyway, Rey Mysterio in this match was really wearing like a knee brace. I'm guessing he injured his knee. The analysis brought up that he injured his knee in a match against Eddie Guerrero on Thunder. This is before the show. And in this match, Mysterio was fine. He was doing like the high fly moves. I think he did like the 619. I think he's still doing the 619 in WCW. I don't think it was called the 619 at the time. I don't know. Anyway, he's still doing like high flying maneuvers. Like the lucha libre moves. He was selling his knee. You can tell he's not 100%. This match, it was a good match. Don't get me wrong. Not the best cruiserweight match in WCW history. Best cruiserweight title match in WCW history, but it's still good for what it is. The low bolts of the match, Jericho worked on the knee of Mysterio, like ran him into the ring, not ring post, but near the turnbuckle. He did he placed like a still steps. There's one spot, he placed the still steps, did like a running, diving, guessing was an elbow or a clothesline onto Mysterio. He was still doing the whole come on, baby. He was still doing the whole role model thing, I don't think it was a little similar to what Britt Baker will do in AEW, getting booed and he become, it was Jericho and Britt Baker, two different characters, two different wrestlers from two different time periods, Jericho's still wrestling to this day, but what I'm saying, like he's calling his fans role models, it's similar. It's also similar to what NXT will do with Bo Dallas, that's a story for another time. So he will call his role models Jericho-holics, I'm still a Jericho-holic to this day. I like Chris Jericho. Anyway, in the end, Mysterio, he was about to hit Jericho with the Hurricane Runner off the top rope. Jericho countered into the Lion Tamer. There's two versions of Jericho's submission hold. There's the Lion Tamer in, I think he still used it in, I think he used it sometime in AEW, but Lion Tamer is basically Jericho place his his knee into the opponent's head, and then you got like the Wars of Jericho's version of the Lion Tamer in WWE, and also in AEW. That was just basically a Boston leg grab. I think I like the Lion Tamer more than the Wars of Jericho. That's just me. Anyway, Jericho won this match. Mysterio tapped out. He became the new Cruiserweight champion. I think he's a 3-time champion. I think he won it 3 times. Jericho as Cruiserweight champion. He's won it 3 times. The belt. I think Mysterio won the title more than Jericho, because Jericho left in 1999. Mysterio being in WCW, he'll last in until the end of WCW's run in 2001. So anyway, afterwards he got on the mic. The fans were booing Jericho. They were chanting Jericho sucks, and Jericho says, don't boo me, and then fine, boo me. He attacked Rey Mysterio more, he stomped into the injured leg of Mysterio's knee, took off the knee brace. He placed Mysterio's injured knee into the piece of the steel steps. He grabbed like a massive toolbox and rammed it into into the steel steps onto the injured knee of Rey Mysterio. And this was Mysterio's last for a few months. He got knee surgery, and the analysis brought up that he suffered a same injury to his knee in like the feud with Conan. That's another story for another time. This really established Jericho as a heel, and 98 was it really put him on the map. He ended up later on in 98, he ended up feuding with Dean Malenko over he was doing L of the Dead, because Dean's dad, Boris, passed away. He ended up doing the whole 104 moves. He did like a scroll what moves he had. That was on Nitro. That truly put him on the map. He ended up had Ralphus, his personal security guard. And he became this conspiracist. That really I like. Jericho's always better off as a heel than a babyface. He's like in in rest of his run in WCW, then in WWE, then New Japan, and right now in AEW, part of the Inner Circle. They they'll do the rematch. Mysterio will get redemption on Jericho. At Bash at the Beach later on that year. He'll defeat Jericho for the title. Yeah, they kind of took the title away from Mysterio. Like I said, another story, another time. I'm gonna say it from now on. I don't want to talk about too much. I'm trying to focus on the show. Anyway, so the next match we got Booker T defending the WCW TV Championship against Rick Martel. It's really funny that Rick Martel wrestled in WCW. I never knew he wrestled in WCW. I saw him more like he's a typical WWF guy. He wrestled in the WWF in those 80s and early 90s. As part of the Strike Force and was it the Can American Connection, and also as the model Rick Martel, but never in, I've done my research. He's also wrestled in the AWA, the American Wrestling Alliance, under the Vern Gagne territory. He was the world champion. Anyway, I've done my research that the reason why he was in WCW in that time period, he retired in 1995 he took a break from pro wrestling a little bit, because he focused on he's starting his new career as a real estate agent, and then this is his comeback. I'll talk about more of his comeback later on in this match. After this match, so Booker T, this is not he's still part of Holland Heat. He's wearing Holland Heat's colors. They end up breaking up later on in the year. When Stevie Ray joined the NWO. Yeah, they got reunited in '99. And they broke up again for the final time in 2000 when they feuded between Booker T and Stevie Ray. Anyway, another story, another time. Anyway, the match was good. It was okay. I feel like it's just a standard match, and people giving it 3 stars. What's so great about this match? What's so good about this match? It is a good match. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't like nothing fancy, nothing like most worthy. They wrestled a fine match. Rick Martel was kind of like past his peaks, but he still. Booker carried him to a good match. I think Martel was working on the injured, trying to work on the back of Booker T, and trying to lock in the Quebec lock. It's basically, the Quebec crab it's called? It's basically doing the Boston leg crab, because he's from Quebec, Rick Martel. He wrestled in Dino Bravo's territory, because I watched Dark Side of the Ring. In the end, Booker T hit the Holland Hangover to win this match and retain the television title. And afterwards, both, basically had, Martel and Booker, shake each other's hands. I think you had Martel raising Booker T's arms, and then afterwards, Martel got jumped by Perry Saturn, who was part of the flock at the time, attacked him. This is setting up I think it's just a gauntlet type match at Super Brawl. You have Booker T face Rick Martel, and then Booker T will face Perry Saturn. I wish they did like a triple threat match. This is before triple threats, If they did a triple threat at Super Bowl, it might be a good match. It'd be a fun match to watch. As for Rick Martel, his comeback never lasts long because I think it was a week before Super Bowl, he defeated Booker T for the television title, and then at Super Bowl he injured his knee in a match against Booker T, and then he came back months after the knee injury, and then on Nitro he injured his back, and then he's officially retired for pro wrestling for good. So anyway, after this match, the show went downhill for me. Next match we got Scott Hall versus Larry Zbyszko. Their rivalry took place, it really started in 1997. Basically, Scott Hall was getting in the face of Larry Zbyszko. Zbyszko costing Scott Hall matches. Zbyszko also was feuding with the NWO. He fought against Bischoff, feuding with Bischoff. You had the match at Starrcade, where gets the control of WCW. Bischoff got the win. So this is basically the rubber match of this, really a conclusion of this feud between Larry Sabisco and Scott Hall. You got Lou Spicoli. He was basically Scott Hall's lackey, his underling. Anyway, I'm trying to keep it short and simple in this match. The match sucked. I think like Scott Hall's good. I'm not saying he's super fantastic. He's not like a Bret Hart or a Shawn Michaels / Randy Savage Steamboat S type of wrestler. No, he's still a good worker. He does like, he's a big man. He's 6'7", but he's still a good worker. But Sabisco is past his best. He's check his age on Wikipedia. He's about nearly 70 this year. So I think he was about nearly in his mid-40s at the time. He was so past his best. It was not that good. It was like Never Garrett's starring gear. You got Dusty Rhodes, in Larry Sabisco's corner. Yes, Spicoli got involved in this match. In the end, you had Dusty was trying to hit Hall with the elbow, but instead it was a swerve. He attacked Larry instead. The match, I thought it was a no contest, but instead I found on Wikipedia it was ending in a no DQ. Dusty took off his jean shirt. Underneath his jean shirt, he's wearing an NWO t-shirt, and the announcers got pissed off. Heenan got pissed off. Schiavone got pissed off. This was dumb. It was not really a good match. And really, it makes no sense. And it didn't do nothing. It's not like Dusty is. I don't think they did a match between Sabisco and Dusty Rhodes. In a future match down the road, but it's just, what's the point? This is the problem. Like I said, in my review of Sold Out '97, that there was too many members of the NWO. It's just like, that just basically makes no sense. Let's just put every member of in the roster into the NWO, depending if it makes sense, is it draw money or not. This is basically a swerve of a sake of a swerve. This is not WCW 2000. No. This is 1998 WCW. This is the time when wrestling was still red hot. It's still red hot in 2000, but this is the time when it was still in the boom period compared to WCW 2000. That was the drizzling shit. It's just like, makes no sense. The match was sucked. It's just like, and afterwards, I think Schiavone I think he left the announce booth. He came back, and afterwards, later on in the show, they're kind of ripping on Dusty Rhodes for that. It's just like, nah. It's just like ridiculous how Dusty turned. It just makes no sense. And this is the reason why WCW went out of business. The one major downfalls why it went out of business, it has to be the NWO. Fitting every member of the NWO. I feel like, I feel like at the time there was about nearly 600 members in that group. They ended up forming different versions of the group. The Wolfpack and the LWO. It's just like, come on now. I feel like, if I was Bischoff, Bischoff needs to take some responsibility. If I was Bischoff, I wish it just think and choose wisely. Like having Dusty part of the NWO makes no sense. He didn't bring Arthur to the table. Anyway, so enough of my spiel. Nothing much about this match. It was just a slow, boring match. The next match, we got a 6-man tag team match. We got the Steiners and Ray Traylor. Ray Traylor is formerly known as Big Boss Man, The Boss, The Guardian Angel, Big Bubba Rogers, and Big Bubba with $1 Million Ted, aka the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase Sr. in their corner, taking on 3 members of the NWO, that is Buff Bagwell, Scott Norton, and Conan, with Vincent in their corner. Vincent is formerly known as Virgil. The match was boring. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get into it, but it really put me to sleep. And I think it was a 12-minute match. I found it on Wikipedia. When I watched it, I thought it was a 20-minute match or a 15-minute match, but it was only 10 to 12 minutes. I was completely bored. There's some good workers in this match. Don't get me wrong. The Steiners they are good workers. Conan is a good worker. Bagwell is a good worker. Ray Traylor, Boss Man. It was 50-50. In the end, Scott Steiner hit the Steiner screwdriver onto Conan to score the victory. Before that, I think he had Vincent got involved. DiBiase hit him. They had history. Vincent, Virgil. Because he was DiBiase's servant in the World Wrestling Federation, and the feud with the $1 Million Man in 1991. I think because they give Virgil a singles run. And, I think Virgil was a former $1 million champion. Anyway, when Steiner hit the power driver, that is the Steiner screwdriver, I said to myself, I never seen Scott Steiner hitting a power driver before, because I watched a lot of Scott Steiner matches in the past. He always hits like a clothesline, suplex, was it takedown, T4 takedown, basically doing like I think it's called a C4 takedown. It's called, I can't remember what it is. The name of it. Hit the Frankensteiner and the Steiner recliner, but never a power driver. Scott pins Conan to score the victory, and the Steiners and Trailer got the win over the NWO. This was Ray Trailer's final pay-per-view appearance. He kind of showed up on WCW television in February and March, and then the end of March he left the company, because his contract was expired, and then a few months later he returned to the World Wrestling Federation in October to join Vince McMahon's corporation. As for the Steiners, this is the last pay-per-view tag team to teaming up, because the following month at Super Brawl, Scott turned on his brother Rick to join the NWO, and he became Big Papa Pump. He dyed his hair beach blonde with the fucking goatee, flexing his muscles and saying just crazy random shit. I like Scott Steiner, don't get me wrong. That was, that really, he ended up feuding, Rick will feud with his brother Scott throughout 1998. They kind of reunite in 1999. Anyway, so yeah, it was just boring. Really, it's just like, yeah. If they cut about a couple, if it was a short match, I'll be okay. I feel like this match better on Nitro or Thunder. This is not like a pay-per-view worthy match. Anyway, the next match, we got Kevin Nash with Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff in that corner, taking on the Giant. The Giant is the future Big Show. I've done my research before I'm doing my review of this show that originally they should have the match at Starrcade between Kevin Nash and the Giant. Because you had basically Giant beating down Scott Hall, chokeslamming Scott Hall. And I heard the research and the legends and the myth that the rumors that Kevin Nash no-shown Starrcade because rumors like he suffered a heart attack or symptoms of a heart attack, or there's another rumors that he's playing his politic card, and he doesn't want to do the job, don't want to put it over the Giants. It's one or the other. Anyway, the match was, I don't say it was a bad match. It had a bad finish, but it wasn't like a bad, boring match. He had some moments, but it was okay for what it is. You had two big guys beating the piss out of each other. It was fine. In the end, Bischoff gave Kevin Nash a jug of coffee. He threw the jug of coffee into the face of the Giant, and then here comes the worst finish. Nash was trying to hit the Giant with the jackknife, and Nash botched the jackknife onto the Giant. He dropped the Giant onto his head, and Nash pins the Giant to score the victory. And I said to myself, holy shit. This is similar what the WWF did in 1997, in the match between Owen Hart and Steve Austin, when basically Owen Hart accidentally dropped Austin on his head with the power driver. WCW did this same spot the previous year at Super Brawl. I think it was in the tag team match, Luger and Giant taking on the Outsiders. Nash successfully hit the Giant with the jackknife. In this show, this year in 1998 at Sold Out, he couldn't because because the Giant put on a lot of weight, and I'm guessing it was rushed. But in Super Brawl 97, he successfully did it. I watched it on YouTube. It's like, holy shit, Kevin Nash just powerbombed the Giant. That was superhuman strength. But on this show, it wasn't. It's like, holy shit. Paul White, the Giant, Big Show, he's very lucky he's still alive. You know, he's very lucky. His career, he almost lost his career, and also he nearly lost his life. I think he did come back. You know, he wrestled throughout the whole of '98. '98 was the last time the Giant wrestled in WCW before really signed with the WWF. In 1999, his first appearance with the company was, he got involved in the main event at St. Valentine's Massacre in the steel cage match between Steve Austin and Vince McMahon. Anyway, another story for another time. The match was okay for what it is, with a bad finish. The next match, we got Ric Flair versus Bret Hart. This is Bret Hart's first pay-per-view match in WCW. He debuted the previous month at Starrcade after leaving the WWF in a most anticlimactic way at Survivor Series, the Magical Screwjob. He refereed the Bischoff-Zbyszko match at Starrcade, got involved in the main event of the same show between Hogan and Sting after Nick Patrick, the referee, botched the finish. In this match on this show, this is who is the greatest of all time, the GOT, the GOAT. Before I did my research before I'm reviewing and watching this show. I never knew that Ric Flair hated Bret Hart in real life, so I'm gonna go into some details. So I think this was after Ric Flair left WWF to go back to WCW. Bret did like a radio interview bashing Ric Flair, talk about, Ric Flair sucks, WCW was a minor league. Flair bashed Bret in one of his books, said about, Bret's exploiting Owen's death. He's not a draw in America, he's only a draw in Canada. I think that they put their differences aside in later years. And I think Ric Flair's recent person he hated in real life is Becky Lynch, over, the man trademark name. Another story, another time. So, this is their first match since wrestling in the WWF in 1992. They wrestled in a house show in Canada. Bret defeated Ric Flair to win his first world title. The match was good, back and forth between Flair and Bret. Good technical style wrestlers. That's they are. Flair and Bret. Flair hit he does typical Ric Flair stuff, like the eye poke, the low blow. Both guys, work on each other's legs, to set up their submission finishers. Flair with the figure four leg lock, Bret with the sharpshooter. Flair locking the figure four onto Bret. Bret reverses it. In the end, Bret locking the sharpshooter. Flair tapped out, and Bret got the victory. It makes sense because this is his first match. This was his biggest win in Bret Hart's WCW career. Unfortunately, the next few months, and really the next few years, they kind of dropped the ball on Bret, because in spring, I think it's the Nitro after Spring Stampede, Bret turned heel to be part of the NWO. He was not really an official member of the NWO, but a satellite member of the group. He didn't really shit the bed in WCW. He went on to win the United States title, the World Heavyweight title, and he retired in 2000. Another story, another time. I think it did well. It was a good match. I don't say it's match of the night, but it was a decent match. I don't know about the match in 1992. That was on a house show. You have to find it on video or find it on YouTube somewhere. I think it did well for the buy rate for this show, because, like I said, this buy rate for sold out, they drew 380,000 pay-per-view buys. Anyway, so moving on to the main event. The main event, we've got Randy Savage versus Lex Luger. I covered Luger and Savage matches so far, in late 2020. They wrestled in Halloween Havoc 95, World War 3 95, a couple of matches on Nitro. I know it's a different years, because 95 was the bad year, 98 was the uptight in the business, but yeah, this match was okay, a little bit better than matches in 1995, but that's not saying too much. It was a little boring. Miss Elizabeth, got involved. I done my research that, everyone knows, Elizabeth married Randy Savage in real life. And also, I think she was in a relationship with Luger, married Luger. This was her final years in her lifetime, because she died 5 years later in 2003. It was good. It had some moments like the fighting in the crowd. The NWO got involved. In the end, Luger, locked Savage with the torture rack, scored the victory. Afterwards, the NWO beat down Luger, and then you got Sting coming down, beating down the NWO, hitting the NWO members with the baseball bat. I think Luger locks. I think it was Nash with the torture rack, and Sting locks Hogan with the Scorpion Deathlock. It's just setting up the match at Super Bowl the following month to close down the show. Anyway, so my final rating for WCW Sold Out 1998. I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. Way better than 1997 Sold Out show. That was the drizzling shits. This show was good. Yeah, it was a bit of a mixed bag. You had some ups and downs. The okay was the okay, like Booker T versus Rick Martel, Giant versus Kevin Nash. That was okay with a bad finish, and the main event. The bad is the bad. Like, not a lot of bad on the show. You had Scott Hall versus Larry Zbyszko, and the 6-man tag team match with Steiners and Trailer versus Bagwell, Norton, and Conan. And on the same time, you had some good. You had the opener, the Luchador 8-man tag team match. You had Jericho, Mysterio for the Cruiserweight title. You got Benoit versus Raven's Rules match, and including Brett versus Flair. So it was what it is. It did well for this pay-per-view buy rate. So, hope you enjoyed my review of WCW Sold Out 1998. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, smash the like button, and subscribe to the Central Mind Network on YouTube. Next time, we're still in this Sold Out train. It's still not pulling to the station. Next time, let's go to the following year's Sold Out show. That is Sold Out 1999. And this is the Central Man officially signing out. Sold Out 98. It was, I'll give it a thumbs up show. Barely.